Thank you for listening to this PodcastOne Sportsnet production, available on Apple Podcasts and PodcastOne.
The following program is a PodcastOne.com production.
From Hollywood, California, by way of the Broken Skull Ranch, this is the Steve Austin Show.
Give me a hell yeah.
Hell yeah!
Now, here's Steve Austin.
All right, everybody, welcome to Steve Austin Show. I am coming to you from the mean streets of Los Angeles, California today. I'm sitting here in my house at 316 Gimmick Street in Marina Del Rey, California. And if I look over to my right and land on the floor, there she is. Hershey the Wonder Dog, my prized chocolate lab, sleeping and snoring, and she's supposed to be watching the front door, watching for anybody that's going to break into the studio here and protect my ass. So since she's sleeping on the job, I may fire her after the podcast, but I will do that off the air. Hershey, sweet dreams. Hey, gang, I got a special treat for you today. I've got Ariane Andrew, a.k.a. Cameron from the WWE. She was just released by the WWE a couple of weeks ago, and she's going to talk about what it's been like for her since that happened and her reaction when she first found out. We're going to talk about all sorts of stuff like being voted off tough enough first back in 2011 when I hosted the show. All the heat she got when I asked her what her favorite match was. She didn't know a whole lot about the squared circle back then, but at the end of the podcast, she has a new favorite match of all time. So it was great to see Ariane. She looks like $1 million. Great to hear from her. She sounds like she's in a good place now, and she's got a lot going on. She's a very busy young lady. I'm looking forward to her seeing what she can do with Chapter 2 and wish her all the best. I think you're going to dig my conversation with Cameron, a.k.a. Ariane Andrew, coming up next. But before we get to her, let me go ahead and blow a little smoke up my ass. I want to say thank you very much to the Professional Wrestling Hall of Fame down there in Wichita Falls, Texas. I was just elected to go into the 2016 class, and I want to give a big shout out to the board of directors, the voting committee. I appreciate the fact that I was voted into the Hall of Fame. I know that this Hall of Fame is not affiliated with any territory or organization. This is independent, and there's a lot of badass talent in this Hall of Fame. And I wish I could have gone. This was on May 21st, but as I canceled the podcast with WWE over there in Baltimore, I canceled this trip as well. I'm not in shape to travel yet with the wing. I start range of motion exercises on the 24th. When my wing gets a little bit more solid, then I'll get back on my regular appearance schedule and get back to work. But I digress. Back to the Hall of Fame. Guys, thank you very much. I appreciate this hellacious honor. Great class that I went to. I wish I would have been able to attend, but as I've spent time, tearing my shoulder up, I got to take the time to heal up and make sure I do everything right, and I wasn't quite ready to get through the paces of getting on the road and going through airplanes and stuff like that with this wing in the shape that it's in. Tell you a little bit about the class that I went in with. There was all these different divisions, and I really like how they have this organized because I went in with two badasses from the Pioneer era, which was from 1865 to 1942, and that was Earl McCready and Joe Pazendak. Now, Earl McCready was an old shooter, actually went to the Olympics, and Joe Pazendak was a legitimate tough guy way back in the day, and that's the Pioneer era, and I researched both of these guys, and you guys should check them out. If you're historians of the business, you can actually go to the Pro Wrestling Hall of Fame website, pwhf.org, and check out the class that I went to so you can properly research all the guys that I went in with. Also from the international division, High Chief Peter Maivia went in. From the tag team division, the one and only Blackjacks, Blackjack Mulligan and Blackjack Lanza. Lanza, who helped me out so much in the WWF way back in the day. From the ladies division, Leilani Kai went in. I remember watching Leilani Kai during the Rock and Wrestling Connection and in battles with Wendy Richter. And, man, that was a lady who paid a lot of dues there and was broke in by the Fabulous Moolah. From the colleague division, meaning like I guess the announce team and stuff like that, the one and only Mean Gene Okerlund. You talk about a pitch guy. Mean Gene, there's never been a better guy at conducting business like Gene Okerlund did. That guy was off the charts, crazy good. From the television era, which is described from 1943 to 1984, Hans Schmidt and Greg Valentine. Everybody's heard Greg Valentine's name. Hans Schmidt, interesting history behind him. Research him as well. Research all the people that I'm mentioning. And then from the modern era, which is considered 1985 to the present, Sergeant Slaughter, another guy who helped me so much when I first came into WWF way back in the day when he was working as an agent. He still does to this day. He goes in along with myself. Man, I tell you what, I researched everybody on the list. Of course, we know who Peter Maivia is. Let his wrestling career speak for him, but he's also related, or it's a great uncle, I guess, of The Rock, Dwayne Johnson. But everybody on here is just solid gold. And when you read about Earl McCready and Joe Pazendak, these two legitimate shooter, tough guys from back in the day, paying dues from the 1865 to the 1942 era, it's pretty damn cool if you're a historian of the business. And again, I didn't know all these names. Well, I knew most of the names on this list, but when you read about those old-timers, man, you go back to, well, just read some of those shoot stories. It'll take you to Wikipedia. And just read about these cats, man. This is back when, dude, you talk about a tough-ass business. It's tough right now to be a pro wrestler, but back then, when half the guys could really actually shoot, or they'd bring in a shooter from a territory to take another guy down, it was very competitive. And not to say that today's business ain't competitive, but, mister, it was a whole different ball game. That being said, the guys back then weren't taking the kind of bumps and risks that the guys are taking at this day and age. But nonetheless, each generation is tough. It's just when you go back to those formative years, those guys who paid the dues and broke the ground and the way for the future generations, you got to look at them with a lot of respect and hold them in very high regard. This 2016 class was awesome. I was talking with Johnny Mantell a couple of times on the phone, and tried to get down there to get my plaque and give a little speech and do everything. But I told Johnny, man, I'm not up for traveling yet, and I'm looking forward to trying to get Johnny to come on the podcast and shoot the breeze about his wrestling career, some Texas wrestling stories, and about his involvement with the Pro Wrestling Hall of Fame. And I just got finished watching a couple of YouTube matches with him working down there with Jimmy Garvin and World Class Championship Wrestling, Gino Hernandez. So, man, you talk about an old-school veteran who's been around the horn and could work his ass off. Johnny, sorry I couldn't make it. Congratulations to the rest of the class of the 2016 Pro Wrestling Hall of Fame. Again, I'm proud to be in, and thank you very much for this honor. I dig it the most because I was indeed a professional wrestler. All right. Before we start in with Ariane, I got to say thanks to all you folks for supporting the fine sponsors of the Steve Austin Show, including one that helps me before every single podcast. On it are the fine folks who make Alpha Brain. And all you long-time listeners know that before I sit down behind the mic, I take a couple of Alpha Brain and a couple of swigs of coffee. Then I hit the record button on my Zoom H4n. I don't podcast without Alpha Brain because I do need to be razor sharp and laser focused. And if you could use a little mental boost yourself, go to onnit.com/Steve to get you some Alpha Brain and save yourself 10% in the process. You can save 10% off anything you order at onnit.com/Steve. So, yes, you can get 10% off Shroom Tech Sport. Shroom Tech Sport will give you workout a boost. It helps you go longer and recover faster. And, yes, you can get 10% off T+. T+ increases strength and power. It'll improve your athletic performance, and it's safe to use if you're competing. So go take advantage of this 10% discount off your order. Just go to onnit.com/Steve. And another great thing about Onnit and all their products is if they don't work the way they're supposed to, you can get all your money back, no questions asked. It's a money-back guarantee. So go to onnit.com/Steve to get your 10% discount off all your supplements. That's onnit.com/Steve to get 10% off your order.
Hey, this is Chris Shiplet, host of Walking the Floor. Here's an excerpt from my interview with Dierks Bentley where he talks about the importance of downtime.
It's really healthy to take breaks from the road because you can get caught in thinking the road is normal, and it's really not.
Right.
And it's really healthy to get off the road, have to get used to being home all the time and everything that comes with that, and not having that parachute you can pull to get back out on the road and kind of be free. Like you have to dive in, roll your sleeves up, get in this, get back in the flow of your house.
Hell no. All right, download new episodes of Walking the Floor every other Monday at PodcastOne.com or subscribe at iTunes.
The Steve Austin Show. The Steve Austin Show.
All right, it's 11 a.m. here at 316 Gimmick Street. Ariane Andrew just rolled into the crib. For you WWE fans, you probably remember her as Cameron. Welcome to the crib. How are you?
I am well. How are you?
Good, awesome. It's great to see you again because I get a chance to see you on the road every now and then when I show up at a WWE function. But I was trying to get into contact with you, and you were out on the East Coast.
Yes.
What were you doing out there? Just chilling and visiting friends or whatever?
What do you mean back in the East Coast? When I was living there for
No. When you were just this past weekend.
Oh, just hanging out, just getting away for a little bit, just kind of like a decompress. I haven't taken a vacation in forever. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to just get away for the weekend.
Yeah, because I didn't know you're a Cali girl.
Yes.
You're born and raised here.
Yes, a Valley girl, actually.
Well, it's funny because you went to Cal State Northridge, and so did my wife.
Oh, my gosh.
And you have 2 college degrees, and as does she. But she went to Verduga Hills High School.
Oh, okay, so she's from California as well, then.
Right. Born and
Okay.
raised. And I guess that would make her a Valley girl, too.
Exactly. I guess so, yeah.
Hey, so let's go back to some of your younger days before we jump into the current day scene and what you're doing, what's just transpired with WWE and all that. I was just reading up on you. I didn't know you were active in track and field back in the day.
I was. I did that in high school for 4 years.
What were your events?
So I did the 4x4, the 4x1, the 400, and the 200.
What kind of speed did you have?
It was pretty good, but I will admit I was a sore loser because if I never got first place, and it was like I would throw, or like the team, we wouldn't get first, I would like throw the baton and like have like a fit, and it would, I would definitely say it was kind of like a poor sport. When I
But did y'all win a lot?
I would say fairly a good amount, we weren't the best, but we gave it our all, so.
So when you decided to go to college, you ended up getting a Bachelor of Arts in Business Marketing and a Bachelor of Science in Psychology, correct?
Yes.
What's up? Are you like a rocket scientist?
No, not at all. Actually, before WWE, I was working with autistic children, and I was about to get my master's because I wanted to become a doctor, and then WWE happened. So, yeah.
So what kind of decision was that? Hey, I got a chance to be a doctor, but then all of a sudden this tough enough thing comes along. Because back in the day, as you were going through college, was college easy for you, or did you really have to work at it? Because, I've always seemed very smart to me.
I actually really had to work at it, and it was hard, too, because I was taking, like, crazy amount of units and working at the same time, so it was a lot. It was like I think I put too much on my plate, and I wish I actually would have just took less units so I could be able to really, really focus, because I feel like there's a lot of stuff that I've forgotten, because if you don't use it, you lose it.
Well, you were working with autistic kids there for a little bit. My wife ended up being a special education teacher.
Oh, my gosh.
That being said, if you were going to be a doctor, what kind of doctor were you planning on being?
I actually wanted to work with special needs children. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, and do, like, therapy.
And so then all of a sudden, I met you in 2011 at Tough Enough, way back in the day. And right before we turned this recorder on, we were like, wow, time flies by. And you're only 28. You're still a youngster. But so for someone who's actively involved in track, and then you go through college, you get 2 degrees, you're working your tail off to pay all your bills, and you've got all these units that you got to study for, pass all your exams. Before I get there, what kind of GPA did you graduate with?
Ooh, I would actually have to look that up because I don't remember.
But anyway, you got two degrees out of it.
Yes.
So my point is, how in the hell did you hear about Tough Enough in 2011, go through the casting process, and decide to undertake this endeavor?
It's actually like a backstory behind that story.
Give it to me. We got plenty of time for stories, and that's what people like to listen to on this podcast. Give me some stories.
So, I actually originally was a part of a Divas search. That's how it originally happened, out here in California, actually. And I had submitted myself through LA Casting, and I had went in, and I was really honest. I was like, I really wasn't an avid wrestling fan. And I'm like, you know what, there's no point to lie. And from there, they were like, you know what, we want you to do Tough Enough. So that's kind of how that happened, and I was excited. I was ready to take it on. I knew that I didn't have the experience, but for me, I'm competitive, and I was like, you know what, let's do this.
Hey, when you guys rolled up in 2011 on Tough Enough, what was your takeaway from that whole experience? Because I got a chance. And, of course, there's that famous GIF of you and I that's still circulating in cyberspace.
I just got one yesterday. Yeah. Literally, they were like, when Stone Cold wanted to give her a center after that, and it's like you with your hands up, and you're like throwing your I literally just got one yesterday. It happens like at least.
And it was so random because nobody knew that we were talking. Well, I'd mentioned on a podcast too that we were going to be talking, but I mean, they just happened so random. But it's just that this me being so perplexed with your answer, and I'm at my wit's end, and I say who, and I've always given both those gals respect. It was just I just thought she'd give me a classic like Ricky Steamboat, Randy Savage. So you caught me off guard. When I go back and look at that Ariane, I had such a good time as myself, Bill DeMott, Trish Stratus, Booker T, and we just really gelled together. But as I was going back and looking at some of the old episodes, we were pretty hard on you guys. So what was your experience from Tough Enough? You were the first eliminated, but I told you then that I thought you had a future in the WWE. I was right.
Yes, you did say that.
But sum up your experience, because I thought on that elimination, I was thinking, man, what were you thinking? Because you were under pressure. There was a lot of duress. And like, were you thinking, man, this dude is a real jerk?
No, not at all. Like I feel like it's tough love. I mean, you have to be able to take the pressure. And at that time, like I said before, I wasn't an avid wrestling fan, and that was just like the first thing that I remember, and being like women and stuff like that. And I was like, that's what I said. And I was just like, it's one of those type of things that has lived with me forever. But I don't regret what I said, because I feel like if I wouldn't have taken the dedication to learn the history. And then now I see why people were so upset. At the time, I was like, I don't understand. Or if it would have probably been someone else, people would have been like, oh yes. Yeah. But it's because it was me, and I still get so much heat from it and so much criticism. But I'm happy it happened, because it's like, if you don't make mistakes, you don't learn and you don't grow. And it's like, it really like had me sit down, study the history, and kind of be like, okay, you know what? I can see kind of, where they're coming from.
When we first rolled into to camp there, and we started going through some of the drills, and if you'll remember Miss USA,
Rima.
And man, I always talk about it. Some people are just allergic to the mat, and she was wonderful to me. Don't know anything about her, or you're getting along with her or anything like that, but she was really not really coordinated, but she was allergic to the mat. She didn't like the bumping process. When all of a sudden we get in there and Book and Bill and Trish are teaching you guys some of the bumps, what were you thinking? Because you were a newbie to this as well.
Yes.
What did you think about that, Matt? What did you think about the training?
I felt so uncoordinated myself. I was like, I couldn't even do a roll. It was like, I actually looked back at a piece from that, and I was like, ooh, that was so cringeworthy. I'm like, I look back and I'm like, ooh, it's like, what was I doing? I looked like this.
But it was a crash course. I mean, all of a sudden, you go into something that you may have seen a little bit of, but that you haven't done it, and then all of a sudden, it's kind of fish out of water.
Yeah, and people think of it, they're like, oh, it's so easy. And I'm like, you know what? I would like you to go take a bump and then tell me how you feel. You know what I mean? It's like your body obviously gets used to it, but even in training down at FCW, I remember Norman, he got so mad at me because I was trying to learn how to bump in a day, and he's like, you're not going to learn how to do it. He goes, just take this for today, and then we'll keep. And it's like, for me, I'm like, I was so determined. I was like, no, I want to be able to have a match this first day of training.
So what happened when you got eliminated from Tough Enough, and then you rode off into the sunset? Did you go directly down there? What was it called, FXT at the time?
FCW.
FCW.
Yeah. So it was a little bit of time. Then I had actually moved my stuff there, and I was there for maybe like 3 months before actually starting, just because the show was still going on, so there was no way to, so yeah. Then I started, and I had so much heat. Oh my gosh. Like it was like, people were like, oh, she's not going to last a week. There's no way. Like, how do you think that you should be here and you deserve this? It was crazy.
I always tell people, it's like, as you can see, I'm still on my sling. I had my shoulder surgery exactly 1 month ago today. And it's like, man, at the end of a run, you can think whatever you want about the business, but it will chew you up and spit you out.
Yeah.
I mean, although you're enjoying it, just on the backside, and this was just an injury that was just from the stuff I'd banged up and kind of done on my own. But you ended up in the business after you left Tough Enough for, 5-6 years in the WWE?
I was there 5 years, 4 years on the main roster. Yeah, because my 4th year anniversary was in January, so a total of 5 years.
Okay, so at only 28 years of age, I mean, you're still very, very young. But how do you feel on the backside of what you've been through? Body feel good? I mean, you look like $1 million.
Oh, thank you. I always used to say, like, I feel like my body was, because I feel like I'm a little bit smaller than some of the girls, and I've always kind of felt that, like, little things would just, like, hurt. Like, even now I'm like, I see myself, like, cracking my back, or like, I feel like I have really weak knees, and I don't know if that's true from running track in cross country, but I mean, I'm so blessed to have only walked away with getting stitches one time. So it's like, I can't really say that, I mean, I know you've like your neck, you know what I mean? So it's like, I will say I'm definitely blessed.
Do you feel like your 5 years in business and through your experience in Tough Enough has made you a tougher person physically and mentally?
Oh, yeah, of course. I feel like I've grown so much. I feel like I'm more humble now than I was before I got into the business.
Were you not humble before you got into the business?
I mean, not to say that I wasn't humble, but I think that I will say that I felt myself a little bit, and I thought, like, I'm just, and I feel like, now that I feel like I've actually accomplished some things, which is the opposite for most people. They start off humble and then forget where they come from, and then it's like, you don't even know who they are anymore. It's like they're heads up their ass.
I've seen 1 million people get on TV a couple times, and all of a sudden they think they're a big-ass superstar, and they get the big head, and I'm like, man, really?
It doesn't last forever.
And every now and then, I'll if it's a young cat, and I got a little hope for him, I'll pull him aside and say, hey, dude, you need to check that, because this ain't what it's about. You got a long ways to go before you. And first of all, you just never act like that to begin with. But right now, I said, you better just keep your nose to the grindstone and settle your ass down.
Yeah.
How did you like living on the road? Because I told everybody at Tough Enough, I said, it's going to be one thing to win this contest. It's going to be one thing just to go through the training. And although you were the first eliminated, I knew you would have a future in the business. I told people the tough part was living on the road. The tough part was the business, learning the business, and existing and traveling around with a bunch of people, some of the greatest misfits in the world, some of the nicest people in the world. How did you like living your life on the road, coming from your college background, 2 degrees, Cali girl, just chilling, and now you're worldwide? Easy, hard.
It's definitely difficult because, you're gone. I mean, this. Yeah. You're gone 24/7. You miss birthdays, you miss graduations, you miss holidays. And it's exciting in the beginning, but then after a while, you're like, woo, we're almost 300 days out the year. You're going and you're going. You're just like, it's a lot. And people think like, it's a lot that you have to go with the drives and stuff that people don't know, the behind the scene things that, they think like, oh, it's glamorous. You get to ride on a bus and you have your feet kicked up, and it's like, no, not so much.
Yeah.
So,
hey, what'd you do? Because back in the day, me being a guy, it would be this thing where I would just throw in my suitcase or 2 suitcases, whatever it was, down by the wash and dryer, and I just basically wash everything and then just recycle it back in, because I'm in a different town every day. No one knows what I had on the week before, and I'm on the West Coast, now I'm on the East Coast. I'm wearing the same stuff.
Yeah.
So I lived out of my suitcase, but you are really into fashion. So would you just take all these extravagant wardrobes out on the road with you? How tough was it for you to maintain how you present yourself?
I think it just ends up becoming like a lifestyle. Like, if I will say one thing though. I feel like I'm in better shape now than when I was on the road, just because I'm just not a morning person at all. So sometimes I have like that dedication to get up and like go to the gym. I'm like, oh, I'll do it tomorrow. Like, but I don't think it was that bad, because I'm not a type of person who spends all this money on like expensive stuff. So.
Yeah, but what about the clothes? Because I wore like I said, I wore the same stuff. Would you take different outfits?
Oh yeah,
every week.
I would.
So you would do that.
I would do that.
Okay.
Yeah, I would for sure, because like in the day, like for girls, like image is everything. So it's like I never want to walk by Vince and then have like some clothes and he's kind of like, oh, like
right.
So yeah.
But for you, just as part of you liking fashion
I like to dress up and stuff like that, but I don't spend a lot of money on my clothes. Like I like nice things, but I don't go crazy, because you have to always look out for the rainy days. You just never know when it's going to happen, when you're going to need money. So for me, I like to save. I feel like you can still look great, but do it inexpensively.
I was on your Twitter account earlier, and it said WWE Cameron is your Twitter handle, and it says former WWE. you just got released along with a couple other people. I talked to Hornswoggle just last week or two. How did you take this news? How did this come about? Did you see it happening?
Yes and no. It's horrible because I read the blog sites and stuff like that, and supposedly they said one of the reasons, the reason I wasn't originally going to get released, but I got released because of some controversy that I caused on Twitter that week. I don't know if you're, pretty much I had, Ryback had made a statement and I had said, amen, brother. And it wasn't so much talking about the pay. It was just more so when he was like, if you don't believe in yourself, no one else will. And, God, I feel like it's a long story. Do we have time to go into it?
We've got as much time as you want.
Okay. So let's just, rewind. So, last May, I'm a person who, for me, I don't want to just collect a paycheck. I want to be a part of what I'm doing. For me to kick my feet up and just kind of be on the sidelines, that doesn't work for me because I feel like I know what my value is. I know what my pros are and I know what my cons are and I know what I can bring to the table. Am I the most athletic person in the world? Am I the best, wrestler? No, but I know that I have, charisma and I know what I'm great at. I know what I can do on the mic. And I don't think I'm horrible, but I think I'm not the best and I can be honest with myself. So I had decided to, step away and I was like, you know what, I'd rather not come here, waste you guys' money and why I can, go train and do all these things until you guys have something for me. So it was a decision that I decided to make knowing that there was a possibility that, the day could come for me to get released. But kind of like what Ryback said, if you don't believe in yourself, who else will? You know what I mean? So, I went back down to, NXT and that was an interesting situation. I felt like I was doing things, I was improving my craft, but I felt like I was still kind of getting the short end of the stick. And I feel like I can walk away saying that I know I did everything. I was pitching stories from gossip to being a valet. And I was getting frustrated too as well because I'm just like, I know that there's something here for me, but I'll be patient and I wait. And I didn't want to just come back and just do whatever. I would be like, you know what, I'd rather wait, and so, God, I actually get it's kind of emotional now kind of talking about it because it's like no one knows sorry.
Go ahead. You reach Kleenex.
Thank you.
Sorry about that. I didn't mean to go.
No, it's just no one knows, people just, you hear things and oh, she just wants to be here because she's famous. She wants to be famous and stuff. And just because I didn't grow up, as a avid wrestling fan, when I got into this business, if you don't love it, there's no way you can do it. And I did grow to have a passion for it. So no one had seen for that year, all the stuff that I was doing to get back in the game and just how nothing was working out. I'm to step back, I feel like that takes a woman to be like, you know what, I'm willing to give up my spot to go back down to NXT and to try to crawl my way back up.
Right. And
so it, I feel like I was torn, but at the same time when it did happen, I kind of felt like that release as well, I felt like the mental drainage of what are we doing? Am I going to get fired? What is going on? I kind of felt like it was such a bittersweet thing because it was that's not how I wanted to end. That's not, I wanted to come back to show what I had worked on and the improvements that I had, how the growth I had, I can't even talk right now, my growth and see my potential where I could possibly be because I did consider myself a valuable asset to the company. So, it was definitely bittersweet. And as far as the controversy I caused, I kind of stood up to the IWC and I was like, you can have an opinion. You don't have to like someone, but to wish death on someone's family or say racial remarks and stuff like that. I just feel like that's not okay.
You were getting that stuff?
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
and,
geez.
I feel like, wrestling fans are very loyal, period. They're very, very loyal. And that's one thing I do respect about them. So it caused a lot of controversy.
But sometimes they're so sometimes they're so opinionated. They voice their beliefs or their ideas in very negative or very inappropriate ways.
Yeah.
And if you don't like something, you can say it in a much nicer way.
Of course.
Like your campaign, your anti-bullying campaign that you have on your website, Ariane Andrew now. I just don't believe in that. I don't believe someone hide behind an eggshell on a Twitter account or this, that, or whatever, and throwing negative things out at people. In your position down there, you go from the main roster, you go back down to Florida. Who are you dealing with? Because in my career, I was fortunate enough at a time to come along, 20 years ago, whatever. And when I first came in the company, I knew that Vince McMahon was my boss, but I didn't have a relationship with him until one day they were going to start giving me a push because of an incident that happened at Madison Square Garden concerning Triple H, who was going to be the next guy to get the big push. So when I started getting pushed, my point is I started to form a relationship with Vince. And so from then on, he was my go-to guy, but we would speak directly with each other, and I got to know the man very well. So you in your shoes, and I know Triple H is almost head of all talent now, but was he the guy? Was he the person that you would deal with on a day-to-day basis regarding what you were trying to do, or did you have someone else, being a female?
I spoke a lot with Mark Carrano, and there was a few times I talked to Hunter. And to rewind really fast, to go back to what I did with the Twitter, the whole point of me doing that was to create heat, because I was like, maybe this can start a new type of character.
A heel character,
to kind of rebrand myself from the whole girl bye. And that was my thoughts. Like, you know what? Just like when you started, you were the ringmaster. And then it was like, you were like, you know what? I'm going to do me, and I'm going to become Stone Cold Steve Austin. Sometimes you have to almost kind of like, if you're not getting something, you almost have to go and take it.
Agreed.
And that's kind of what I was doing, but it all kind of backfired on me.
But you had a very articulate, eloquent article. Did you write and post that on your Facebook page about when you left, and you basically told that story?
Oh, yeah. That pretty much what I'm saying now.
How can people see that? Because I read it. I can't quote it word for word right now, but it was a very well-written article about what you're trying to do. How can people see that?
It's on my Instagram, and I have the link where it says my thank you statement.
Yeah. And what are you on Instagram?
It's at Ariane Andrew.
Yeah, so anybody that just heard what we were talking about, it's a really well-written article saying about what you were trying to do.
Exactly, like my journey, what people didn't know, and obviously it's very, very lengthy. So if people don't read the whole thing, they don't know kind of like how I got from point A to point B, from deciding to step away and going back to NXT, and then what I was trying to do. I would definitely say it's worth the read for people to read it, because it's very detailed.
Give me a perspective of where you're coming from.
Yeah.
All right, so check it out. Ariane Andrew sitting right across from me, and we're talking about life at WWE and after WWE. And I want to talk about how you found out you were being released. Was it a call, a text, an email? Did a FedEx show up at your door? But before we get into that, I got to take care of one of the sponsors, and that's Scott's Roundup, one of the fine sponsors of the Steve Austin Show. Weeds are like nature's boomerang. Roundup knows they keep coming back. With one spray of Roundup Max Control 365, kill those stubborn little rascals right down to the root and keep them away for up to a year. Draw the line and stop weeds from boomeranging back. And this week, I'm drawing a line at the match quality that AJ Styles has been turning in as of late in the WWE. This is a dude that's been in the wrestling business for about 18 years. He stopped over for a cup of coffee in the WWE way back in the day, and after all this time has landed right in the middle of the title picture of the WWE landscape. I got to give a big shout out and a swig of water to a young man who has worked his tail off to get to the greatest wrestling company on planet Earth right now and turn in premier performances. Swig of water to AJ Styles and the performances he's been turning in against the champion, Roman Reigns. And I'm drawing the line. Match quality, and that's what AJ Styles is bringing to the WWE. And Roundup's drawing the line at weeds. Your patio should be for cooking out and kicking back. Roundup Mash Control 365 helps keep it that way by keeping weeds away for up to a year. One spray of Roundup Mash Control 365 gets you up to 365 days of weed-free relaxation time. Draw the line. Hey, so check it out. You came over here to the 316 Gimmick Street at 11 a.m., showed up promptly in a badass red Mercedes. Got to give you a shout out. You have great taste in cars.
Thank you.
But you came here early because you've got an acting class.
Yes.
I guess that's going to kick off round 3.
Yes.
So tell me about these acting endeavors, because I'm very curious to see what you do now that you've left the business. And stop that. Before I ask you that question, how come you never modeled?
If I had to do it by the book, I always say like I went to school, and that I've always loved entertainment, always. Right. So, I've always loved it. I knew no matter what.
But no one has ever reached out to you for a modeling gig or say, hey, I mean, you'd be a great spokesman for this, or some kind of makeup or whatever, mascara thing. I mean, you're a beautiful young lady. I just see you having the model type looks. I just don't know why that never happened. Is it something you never pursued?
Well, before WWE, I consider myself a Jill of all trades. So I was kind of like putting my hands in so many different things, because I feel like, you know what, you only live once, so why not do so many different things that you love to do? So it's like I kind of dabbled into it, but then, yeah, WWE happened. You know how that just kind of takes all your time. It's, you're like, you have to eat it, you have to breathe it, you have to sleep it. So it's kind of hard to like do other things.
So now tell me about you pursuing the acting career, because back in high school, you were part of the drama club.
I was, yes.
So since you were a freshman, that was something that you always aspired to do?
I've always just loved entertainment, and I actually started taking, when I did have the time off, I was doing so many different things to help, for what I was hoping to come back to help enhance me. So I was taking the classes to just help with like promos, and in the classes like an improv class to be able to like be quick with my words and all that type of stuff. So it was something that I've always wanted to do, but I never had the time.
Right,
so when I had the time off, that was one of the things. I am like stumbling over my words today. What is going on? That was one of the things I decided to do.
Tell me about this acting class. I mean, because we were texting back and forth trying to get the time set up, and you said, hey man, sometimes this class lasts 5 hours.
Yes.
I dabbled in a few acting classes back when I first came to LA, and I didn't stick with them, obviously, and it just wasn't my cup of tea. But were they teaching you method, Stanislavski? What's the class?
So it's pretty much the first hour is improv, and then it's like you can freeze it, and you tell a movie in that hour with how 2 people go up there and start it. And then after that, she gives her feedback, and then we do a scene study. So I have a scene partner, and then she gives us plays. So, we rehearse it, and then we end up doing, it's like sometimes like a 15-minute play where we just go up there and act like we're on stage and perform for the class and the teacher.
How have you been with the improv stuff? Because it fascinates me, because in improv, and although I've never taken any kind of classes, I mean, basically, when you're having a conversation or a skit with someone, it's always yes and. You never shut someone down. You're spinning off what they got and back and forth.
Exactly.
How have you been with the improv stuff?
I'm not going to lie. I thought I was like, I'm going to go in here and kill this. Oh my gosh. I get up there the first day and I felt like I was the ish. But it's definitely getting better, and I'm enjoying it. Like, it's kind of like the scary thing. I'm like, oh God, we have to start with improv. I love the scene study. Like, I feel like I kill that. So that's definitely something that I have to improve.
The improv thing is, man, all of a sudden you think, hey man, I'm pretty good at this. And all of a sudden you have these savants in there. It's like playing tennis. Someone just throws a tennis ball, they just smack it back. It's like, wow, what happened?
Yes.
How can they be that quick? Scene study. Let's talk about that for a second, because I've done my share of low budget movies. I don't care to act anymore, so I don't. But back when I did my first few movies, for me, it was all about, hey man, all you got to do is just, okay, I'm Jack Conrad in The Condemned, which I never really wrote a bio for that character. And so all I thought was, know your lines, just know your lines. And I thought I had to say the lines exactly the way they were written. But in scene study, and because a lot of people don't realize, or many people do, that almost The Revenant. I just watched The Revenant was shot in sequence. That happens very rarely. So sometimes, because of location and stuff, you might shoot the end of the movie before you get to the beginning.
Exactly.
Or sometimes you might start in the middle of the movie. So scene study is where you are at that particular time, what has happened already that you haven't done, what's going to happen, how does this all tie together. So I never took part in a scene study class, but it sounds fascinating. So how do you break down a scene?
You know what? Well, the first thing she always starts with is like, you have to read the entire play, and I hate reading.
Come on. See, I can't read because I got ADD. You hate reading?
I do, and that's what I feel like. I do have ADD because I feel like I'll start reading, and I'm like, oh, well, let me go get some fruit, and then somehow.
Or do you do this? You're reading, but all of a sudden you're daydreaming. So it's like you might have flipped 5 pages. Like, I don't know what I just read.
Exactly. Oh, that is so true. That is so true. It's like, oh, I got to go back and read those 5 pages because I don't even remember what I just read.
So, but break down a scene for me. Because...
So, I mean, I feel like it's pretty simple. So, I mean, she gives us like a script from the play. We have to read the whole play, which I'm going to just say it now. I haven't, for the scenes I've done, I haven't read the plays. And I don't lie. I'm like, I just haven't done it. One time I did lie, though. I'm not going to lie.
One time I did lie. I'm not going to lie.
And then pretty much it's like we do the cold read first and, to get a feel. And it's like, she's like, it's not acting. It's just you literally are going to do this as a cold read, which is very interesting.
No performance, just reading.
No performance. But you end up still having kind of a performance because you're not just reading it like.
Right. Monotone.
Exactly. And then from there, she'll give you the critiques and tell you this is, lay it on you, the pros and the cons. And then you meet with the scene partner and then we go over it and we do like a breakdown. So like we're going to do this page. She gives us the feedback. We add a little bit more and then just keep adding to it and then getting her critiques and fixing or keeping what she likes and what she doesn't like.
So how long is this going to last? I mean, is this something that's just ongoing? Here's the thing. A couple of years ago, I filmed a little episode of a series on TV called Chuck, and all of the actors on that show are very talented. And one young lady and I were talking. I think she was 33 at the time, and she's already in the actor's studio, for awesome actors. And it was between takes. I'm an ex-pro wrestler, right? And so she goes, well, who are you studying with? And I'm like, well, what do you mean? She goes, you're not actively engaged in taking classes? And I'm like, no. I said, you? And she goes, of course I am. And I'm thinking, see, this particular girl had been, she was a child actor from 3 years old.
Oh, gosh.
So she's been doing this 30 years. And now, once a week or 3 times a week, whatever it is, she still studies with her group because she goes, it's a muscle. She goes, you go to the gym every day, right? And I said, yeah. And it was a great point for me to learn. That's why I still do this. I mean, she was at the upper echelons of acting, and she's on all kinds of stuff. I can't remember her name. But there's so much that goes into it. And I was like, it's a little bit more work than I really wanted to do. Had I been 24 back in the day or 22 and had my design set on, hey, I want to be an actor, I would have eat, slept, and breathed it just like I did my pro wrestling career. Exactly. Ate, slept, and breathed it. But after you get hit in the head with steel chairs for 15 years and travel all over the road, all over the world, it's kind of like a little bit different perspective.
Totally.
So if I can do it as a hobby or a pastime, it's cool. But for me to try to go and be Daniel Day-Lewis or Leo DiCaprio, ain't happening. So what are you looking to do with your acting career? And have you gone out and done auditions yet?
So I feel like I've been torn because I almost feel like I'm still not done wrestling because I feel like I still have a point to prove because that's just...
Oh, yeah? You still got the wrestling bug?
It's just because I feel like I didn't have the opportunity to show like the stuff that I learned, and I feel like there's still people and the fans that do rock with me that still want to see like what my potential and what I was working for, and it's kind of like I'm so torn, but at the same time I feel like it's something too that I don't know if I just want to put in the past as well because it's something that it's still so fresh, and it's like to have to think about all the memories and the things in the past year and everything that I went through. And, it's just kind of like one of those type of things. It's like when something happens, it's like, do you just put it in the past or do you embrace it?
Okay, let's go back to the wrestling thing then. You got the call that day? You got the FedEx? You got the email? How did you get the word that you were released? I don't use the F word, fired, because released, right?
I was fired. I'm just kidding.
Okay, they dropped the bomb on you. What'd you do? Did you think, or, well, this is a tough pill to swallow. What was your immediate reaction? Stunned?
So I was reading the blogs, and they were like, they're doing releases tomorrow. So I went out that night, and then I woke up early, and I kept looking at my phone. Because I'm like, I wonder if I'm going to be a part of those releases.
How did IWC or the blogs know that the WWE was going to do releases the next day to begin with?
I have no idea.
Okay, please continue.
So maybe there's a little insider. I don't know. I mean, they sometimes they're dead
There's always an insider. It's a mole close to the source.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Either they're dead on it, or it's like completely.
Yeah.
Like, are you effing kidding me? This is not even true.
So what happened?
So I see a text from Mark Carano, and he's like, "Can you please call me?" I knew it right then and there. I knew it. I pick up the phone, I call him, and he's like, you know what? Hey, we're going to release you from your contract. And he's like, you know what? He's like, but I'm actually kind of happy. And I'm like, wait, happy? I was like,
you ain't the one paying my bills.
No, he said he was happy. He's like, because I've known the road that we've been on for this past year. And he goes, and I never, I just not having answers for you. And he's like, I almost, I'm happy in that sense. And I'm like, I get what you're saying, but it's still a bitter because of everything I have gone through this year. It was like such a mental and physical roller coaster of a ride that I was hoping that all this that I had did this past year was going to, I was going to have a fairy tale ending, but,
Give you a second shot to climb back up the ladder.
Exactly. So I was like, you know what? I wasn't bitter at all. I was like, I thank you so much. I'm so blessed to have had this opportunity. And, obviously the day has come, and the day that, I didn't want it to end like this, but I thank you guys so much for having me these past years. So, I mean, I was still very I'm not going to sit here and say like, no, because I feel like it was definitely a journey, and it's a chapter I can put in my book and now move on to the next chapter in my life.
So you handled a departure with class, but how did that rock the rest of your day? Were you like almost like, to me, that would be. I hate to use the word surreal because it's overused, but I mean it would take over your day. Like what else do you think of?
See, I feel like this would have happened to me a year ago, I would have lost my mind, especially because my personality is so strong. But I felt like I had over that course of the year, and plus, I don't know. I feel like so many things have happened this 2016. So I'm going to be the first to say it here on your podcast. I was with my boyfriend, Vinny. We had broke up and he moved out. So that was one thing that had happened. I had made a huge investment that I found out that was a scam. Have some family stuff going on. And then with work, it was just like one thing after another was just kind of like hitting the fan. I was just like, whoa. So like, I almost felt like when I got the news, it's like I was almost kind of numb, but I had to go meet with my videographer because he was putting my reel together. And literally it's like, I knew I still had to go on with my day. But, I took a little time. There was a few moments with texts I got that I had a few little breakdowns, but I was like, you know what? I can't let this put me I have to keep pushing forward. So I gave myself that Saturday to just kind of be lazy and do nothing. But then Monday came and I was, hitting the ground running. Hey,
when I rode off into the sunset after my match with the great one, The Rock, at WrestleMania 19, and I had to, get out of the business. And it's for my health reasons. My neck was in a bad way, and so it's time for me to ride off the sunset. That was a tough pill to swallow. And it really took me, I always tell people, it took about 3 years to get over that. And so I just sat around in San Antonio and I did a lot of hunting, fishing, and drinking. I tell people about it. That's my story. Anyway, I come to grips with it. But so then I said, hey, man, I got to go do something else. And the point I'm trying to make is to ask you, because wrestling, because now there's so many more women in the business because it's not Divas anymore, but there's more women wrestlers than there's ever been.
Yeah.
But it's still a male-dominated business. So and back in the day, when I first got in, there was only a few women, that were in the ring, and then you had some valets and stuff like that. But all the boys, the point I'm trying to make is when they get out of the business, they're still stuck in the business. So a lot of guys, because it's still in their blood, will just go down to independent level, and they'll pursue that for as long as they can, or they'll get on the appearance loop because they can, get a payday doing that. But very few return to a regular way of living. If I was to go back to the old job I had before, I got into the business, I was driving a forklift. But after you travel around the world for 15 years, you don't want to get back on that forklift.
Of course.
And with all due respect, I was manual labor, extraordinaire before I got in the business. So, but now you, at 28 years of age, you still, what you're telling me, you still have wrestling in your blood.
I do, but and it's funny because I've always gotten knocked for this because I've always put my fingers in music, and everyone's always kind of like, oh, you don't love it. It's like, why can't you have more than one passion? So for me, it's like I said, I'm still debating if that's something that I want to do. But as far as other things, like things are already moving in like a different direction. And I don't want to just get stuck in one category because, sometimes, no disrespect, you just get stuck as being a wrestler and that's it. And that's just how people view you. I feel like, there's more layers to me than that. I consider myself putting my hands, I've always been a businesswoman, so I consider myself an entrepreneur. I was signed with a commercial agent that I actually just fired. So I'm about to sign with another agency, and I'm just going to kind of just see where things go. Just going to kind of have my hands in so many different things.
Have you ever considered, my wife went to the same college as you, she has 2 degrees as well, and she was a special education teacher. Have you ever thought, with your background and your passion for helping
special needs
children, have you ever considered going back to college and getting that doctorate? Because you're still only 28.
Yeah, I've thought about it, but it's something that I wouldn't do right this second because that would take so much time and dedication.
Well, absolutely. And if you make that commitment, you're all in, and there's nothing on the periphery for that.
Exactly. Okay. So, but that's why, like, for instance, I did the anti-bullying campaign, and I used music through that to expressing, like, without being like, hey, don't do this, but in a fun way to say, you know what, love the skin you're in. You know what I mean? And be happy for, the person that you are. So, there's always different ways to, like, still be able to be in that circle without having to go back and get my degrees. But hey, like you said, I'm 28 years old. There's who's to say if I, decide to go back one day.
Okay, going back from your drama class beginnings in high school now to taking acting lessons, and from what you learned in Tough Enough, and then going down to Florida, learning the business, getting on the road. How do you feel your chops or your instincts are for acting versus what they were for wrestling?
What do you mean?
Do you feel like you're more inclined for acting? Do you feel natural at it, whereas you didn't feel natural about wrestling? When you first got in, it was so foreign to you?
Yeah, it was like, oh my God. I feel like I've always had like a raw talent. And it's actually funny. The first audition I did go to back, like I want to say maybe a month ago, they didn't choose me for the part, but they were like, we like you and we think you're a raw talent and we want to write you in. It's like for a web series.
Right.
And so I do feel like it's something that is like really natural. Of course, anything practice makes perfect, and you can become really good at something, but it is definitely, I feel like, a natural thing that is just like, I can just kill it.
When you go to an audition, the few I went to, I sucked. I freely admit it. It's the process. And, I never got a part I auditioned for. The movies I did were offered to me. Those were low-budget movies. I did the Condemned through WWE. That was just because of my name and, it was based off the Stone Cold character, basically. When you go, and so at the end, I think I can't remember the last audition I went to, but I went in with the attitude like, hey, you know what? I don't care if I get this part or not, so I'm just going there and wing it, and then I won't be nervous. Well, I tried to go in there with that attitude, but then all of a sudden they got the guy running the camera, the casting lady, and the dude I was reading my lines with, and all of a sudden, they send you like 2 sides, so you don't know who this character is, and they make you sign a piece piece of paper, so you got to kayfabe, the script. You can't send it to nobody. You can't ask nobody about it, so you go in there and you do this process. I absolutely sucked at it. Are you any good at the audition process? Because it's and I'll say it. I'm Stone Cold Steve Austin. If I got to go audition for a movie, I'm a little bit nervous. You put me out of my own element in a wrestling ring with a microphone in my hand or in front of a bunch of cats out there, Broken Skull Challenge. You got a red light running, I'm your guy. But in an audition, not so much. How you on audition?
The first one, that's the one actually I went to, and it had been for like years since I did an audition, and that's the one I feel like I was like, oh, I totally like at the bed. And that's the one they were like, we didn't choose you for the part, but we want to write you in. So it's just like, I guess we're our own worst critics about how, but for me, I mean, of course I'm a little nervous because I feel like if you don't have any nerves, then it's like something's not right,
Right.
But I definitely would say getting in the ring makes me way more nervous just because like I'm so scared of like because people already have like their people always had their eyeballs ready for me to fuck up, like, see, I told you so, she sucks. So for wrestling it was so much more like scary,
right? Like
to not mess up.
Who was directly working with you down there? Was it Norman Smiley and Fit Fanley and Tom? Well, most everybody know I think is gone down there. I know Norman's still there. Who was
you talking about at NXT right now? And when I was down there?
Yeah, when you were down there.
It was Sarah Del Rey.
Okay, but what about the first time we went down there?
It was mainly Norman.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, so he's a great hand.
Oh yeah.
So you never got a chance to work with Fit? Because I know Fit's directly involved with a lot of the women's matches.
Yes, up on the road. So when I would ask, before going back down to developmental, I would actually ask to have extra practice before like one of the live events, and he was usually the person there who would help out. Yeah. I'm trying to think who else. There was a few times where if Johnny was on the road. It just depends on who the producer was for that live event match.
So once you got out there on TV and I saw a couple of your SmackDown matches, are you in the moment and you're just worried about the task at hand, or were you in your head and you say, hey, am I doing the right thing? Where were you? What was your comfort level once that bell rang and y'all started taking care of business inside the ring in front of a live crowd? Did you feel at home?
In the beginning, it was like, oh my God, I was so in my head because I was like, I don't even know what the F I'm doing because I haven't had any training. So I'm like, and then on top of that, it's like my tag team partner at the time was Trin, who is so damn athletic. So I'm like, me next to her, I just look like complete dog shit. So originally it was like, oh my gosh. But then as I got more comfortable, it was like I was just having fun. Especially I felt being a heel just comes so much more natural, and I feel like you can just have so much more fun with that. So like towards the end of my career, I felt like I was like, I got this. Like, this is exciting. And it's like when you can actually, when you're not sitting, obviously I'm nervous walking down and being like, okay, but then once the bell rings, when you can actually like absorb it, take it in and be able to see the crowd, it's like such an amazing feeling compared to when you're just in your head thinking like, because like you can't enjoy it.
So Ariane Andrew and I have been talking now for about 45 minutes, and we still got some ground to cover, including her part in Total Divas. And that's what we're going to do after I give a shout-out to another sponsor who also happens to be a close personal friend, Diamond Dallas Page and his DDP Yoga. Man, Dallas has come up with a great app for his DDP Yoga program, and you can download it at iTunes or the Google Play Store. Dallas has thought of everything with this app. He's got all the workouts on it, and you can even do live workouts from the DDP Yoga Performance Center in Georgia. Dude's got recipes, nutrition tips, and cooking demonstrations so you can learn how to prepare healthier meals for yourself. He's even got a rewards program built in so that the more yoga you do, the more points you earn. And then you can redeem those points for some great DDP Yoga merch. And other prizes. And right now you can get 3 free months of the DDP Yoga Now app when you buy the DDP Yoga program at ddpyoga.com/Austin. That's right. Dallas is giving all you guys a special deal. Just go to ddpyoga.com/Austin to take advantage of it. As Dallas always says, all you have to do to start living a healthier life is commit to the program. And now, thanks to the app, committing became even easier. You can do DDP Yoga wherever you are, whenever you want. So get started now at ddpyoga.com/Austin. You also got a chance to be, part of 2 seasons of Divas?
3
Or is it
seasons.
Total Divas? What's it called?
3 seasons of Total Divas, yes.
Total Divas. That looks all glamorous because it's on television, and there's a bunch of nice stuff hanging around and all the backdrops and the settings, and you guys are doing cool things. How was that experience? Because you got a bunch of chicks. I'll just say chicks. Got a bunch of gals. Got a bunch of women. All beautiful, and it's called Total Divas. That seems like a logistic nightmare from a backstage standpoint. How was filming that? Was it fun?
It actually was a lot of fun, but I'm going to be honest. Like, I feel like for me, people only got to see 2% of who Ariane is. So that's kind of like the unfortunate
Is that
thing.
frustrating you? Is that frustrating for you because you know that all happens in editing?
Oh, yeah.
Because you know what you did, you know
Exactly.
what you were there, and then all of a sudden this is what's edited. So then people only get what they see.
All of a sudden, you see me rolling my eyes, and I was like, "Wait, I didn't do that." You know, someone says something.
Well, you may have done it, but it wasn't all you did, and so it can be taken out of context.
Exactly.
You're like, oh, Ariane's a bitch.
Exactly. So, I mean, it was definitely a fun experience. You know, I was super excited originally about it because I was like, you know, I get so much hate, and you know, people just think camera. I'm like, this is going to be a nice time for people to see who Ariane is.
Right.
Fail. Like,
Well, why did they spin it? Did y'all have any kind of creative control in that process or not, or just like, hey, this is going to pop, or this is going to make this person be this character?
I mean, yes, but yes and no, and that's, I'm going to be completely honest. That's why, you know, things kind of ended with that as well. They wanted me to do some things that I'm like, I just don't feel comfortable doing that. And at the end of the day, like, I still like to look at myself as a role model. And I, you know, if it's fine, if we have to part ways because this is what you want, at the end of the day, like, I want more in my life than just a reality TV. And I don't want people looking at me in a certain way and just be like, that's how I'm going to be for the rest of my life. So if that means that I can't be a part of the show, I'm totally fine with that.
So you would think that just based off what people saw on you and Total Divas, they think, oh, that's who she is.
Yes.
Because it's funny, when I came here, you know, many years ago, if I went to a meeting and they thought they were meeting Steve Austin, but they thought they were meeting Stone Cold Steve Austin, the guy who's raising hell. He's mad. He doesn't have a sense of humor. He's probably drunk. He's the meanest guy here. He might kill us all. And so it took me a while to break down that barrier and for people not to realize, hey man, that was actually a character I played on TV. So sometimes, you know, it's funny when you do something, whether it's Total Divas or a character within WWE or whatever wrestling organization is, many people are unable to separate what they see on television from being the actual real thing.
Exactly. It's so true. People are like, that's Cameron. You're just a complete bitch. Now, can I be like a little bit, you know, of a little BI sometimes? Yeah, but that's not me 24/7. You know what I mean? Like, you have to really do something to piss me off. I mean, and everyone has like a little bit of a moment where they get mad. I mean, that's
absolutely. You'd be lying if you I certainly had my moments.
You know, so, you know, it's one of those type of things. But I feel like maybe now with me starting my new chapter, people can actually see who Ariane is.
So what do you do for kicks? What do you do for your hobbies, your pastimes? Because you got to do something now to occupy your time. Now that you're not on the road as much as you were, but what are you passionate about? Or what do you do in your free time when you're not working, when you're not pursuing your acting career?
You know what? It's funny. I actually feel like I'm a workaholic. I feel like that's really all I do. And it's like, I don't give myself time to even really take a break. I mean, I'll go out with, my friends, we'll go out and have some drinks. But for the most part, it's like, this is grinding time because it's like, I still only feel like I have a short window to now move on to the next chapter and make things happen for myself. So
a short window because you're in an entertainment industry.
Exactly.
And time is now.
Exactly.
Because, I mean, all of a sudden you can be, I mean, I'm sure you'll still look fantastic at 34, but when you get 34, all of a sudden, I mean, you're kind of like, oh, she's too old now. Chronologically, you're 34, you look like $1,000,000, but in their mind, it's like, no, got to go to the younger generation. Have you ever felt that?
Yeah, I mean, but no matter...
don't you think there's a clock is ticking? It's like, okay, the window is here. You got to make it before the window closes.
Well, I mean, of course, with anything, just like with WWE, there's going to be someone who's going to be hotter than you, smarter than you, pretty... That's life. Like, and I'm okay with that because I know that, you know, my little time of window is here. But like I said, I've always been a businesswoman and I've made investments and stuff that I know, like, if this doesn't work out, I have so many other things that can, you know, happen and that I'm like set if that makes sense.
Possible you could go back to WWE if they gave you a call?
I feel like I would, just because I feel like I have something to prove.
If another wrestling organization contacted you, would you consider doing something with them? Because you go over the major leagues and everything else is on a smaller scale. I'm sorry, but that's just the honest truth of it.
Okay, so then you kind of took the words, because I'm like, how do I say this without getting criticized? I'm like, WWE is the be all of all. It's
the big leagues.
It's the bad daddy, the big daddy. Yeah. And so for me, it's always about progression and growing, and about kind of, I don't want to say, I don't want this to come off bad. Regressing, I guess you can say. And so no disrespect to any of the other independents or any of the other, team and all those. It is. It's just, you know what I mean? So it's like, for me, that's also too why I'm torn about wrestling. Every now and again, though, I think I may, just do it for fun or something. I don't know. But, and that's why I feel like I'm torn as well, just because I feel like I look at myself and I value myself at a certain level, and I want people to, I want to keep it that way, if that makes sense. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes sense. Where are you at here in L.A.? Because I know you out there in the Valley.
Yes.
You in Hollywood now?
I'm in North Hollywood.
How you like it out there?
It's, my mom calls it the fake valley, because I'm originally from Granada Hills, and North Hollywood is still considered the valley, because I like the valley. But she's like, no, it's not, because it's the fake valley, because it's like right close to LA. I love it. It's, it's a NoHo Arts District, so it's like you get a lot of people who are like dancers, hipsters. It's a cool little...
Do you get out in the scene? Because every now and then, the few things that I will do, like they'll have, we're going to have the rap party in North Hollywood or just somewhere over in that area. And I dig Hollywood. If I'm driving through there in the daytime and I can get in and out before traffic hits me, because I talk about it on my podcast all the time, how I hate traffic. But I'm not a night guy. I'm a homebody. So do you get out in it? And are you one of the party people? You do all the functions and get out there and socialize?
I actually was just at a function yesterday. Cynthia Bailey from The Real Housewives of Atlanta had a launch of her purse, and so I went to I used to have a PR too, which we parted ways. I won't get into that. That was an interesting situation. But it depends on what it's for. You know what I mean? Like, if it's a friend's birthday, I almost kind of feel like I'm doing things backwards, because I jumped into school so quickly. Then my career happened that I really didn't do the partying. I feel like now I'm doing it backwards, and I've been like going out and actually partying and living. And it's been great, because I feel like I didn't get that. So it's like I'm doing everything a little bit backwards.
Hey, how's your bullshit detector? Because out here in Hollywood and going into the acting thing, with everything you've learned in WWE, being around the business, I feel like the wrestling business is just a parallel of the movie business.
Totally.
Entertainment in general, but the movie business. But the movie business is a much greater level. But, man, I remember when I first came out and you'd take a meeting and people say, oh, man, I can't believe we hadn't done nothing with you, and here's a couple of scripts and we got to do something together. So you're driving home with 3 scripts in your car and thinking, man, I just got some movies. This is easy. No, not so fast. Now, my point is I can smell bullshit a mile away. I know if something's real and ain't real. Are you on the same page?
Oh, yeah, of course. I mean, and the thing that I almost hate about LA, it's like everyone is a singer, rapper, producer, director. Like, it's so refreshing to actually meet people who say that they're, even though I know that kind of sounds cliche, because it's like now that I'm going into acting, but I consider myself more of an entrepreneur than I would never say actress.
Right.
I would say entrepreneur. You get so many people who are like, I have this, or, or people who like to throw out, well, I'm a director, and I'm like, okay, great, who cares? Like, you know what I mean? I don't know. It's like, or everyone thinks that there's somebody out here in LA.
Yeah, but you got to be able to navigate and find out who's real and who ain't real.
I feel like I may just one day like blow off someone who's of importance, just because I'm so used to the bullshit. Yeah. It's like, do you know who that is? I didn't know that was George
Lucas. I didn't know what he looked like. I just thought some old dude. I just missed out on a part of my life.
Exactly. So, but I'm pretty good with, figuring out who's bullshit and who's legit.
Here's the thing. This is home for you. My home is in Texas, although I've been out here for 12 years. I dig the SoCal weather. And I dig L.A. for what it is, because it's able to facilitate business. You're here, and because you're a Cali girl, you live in town, so we're able to talk in person. But for me, I still, man, I'm like, I love the weather. but I'm kind of like done with LA to a degree just because of the traffic, and I don't have to deal with the people because I just do my own thing with my reality shows, so that's not really a factor for me. But I kind of miss Texas. You're from here, so this is home.
Yes.
And so, and it's weird because when we fly back now from Texas, I'm like, we left the ranch. It's my favorite place in the world, but this right now is home. I'm looking at an exit strategy. For you, there really is no exit strategy because this is home and you're at home.
Exactly. And
that's a good thing, I think, because I'm ready to get out, but I still got business to take care of that I can't take care of in San Antonio.
Yeah. The thing I will say though I hate, and no disrespect to you because I know you're a transplanter, but I mean, because you're awesome. No, you're awesome and you're a kick-ass person. But people who do usually move here are the ones who give LA a bad name.
I agree with you 100%.
It's not the true Californians because we know what it is, so we're not about the bullshit. So you get people here and it's like, stop fronting, please.
Right.
Like, be you.
Right.
Just be who you are. You don't have to put on a front. You don't have to act.
Yeah, and I agree with you because, man, it's a lot of the people that I've met out here they're so full of shit or whatever. It's like they're all, like I said, transplants. I never heard it put like that, but you're right. Most of the people that are in California, there's some hippies here, but I'm talking about they're real.
Exactly.
Yeah, and there's other people come in and it's like, so people think California's full of crazy people. Yeah, there's a fair share of them out here, but they come from other places.
Exactly. So it's actually rare to even meet anybody in California. Like, I mean, all my friends though from like high school and stuff are from here, but me like out and about, I don't.
Are they still out in the valley? Or do you like my wife has friends that from 30 plus years ago? Do you have a whole bunch of friends from high school? Like I'm kind of a loner. All my friends hate me. I mean, they love me, but they hate me because I rarely return phone calls. I'm bad at texting back. I'm bad at returning emails. Do you have a lot of your friends that you grew up with that you're still close with because you spent 5-6 years on the road with WWE and you were gone?
Yeah, all my friends are still from high school and college, which is kind of almost like an amazing thing, but bad thing because I'm kind of I don't want to say an antisocial, but it's very hard for me to let people in. So it's like and to trust people because it's a cruel world, and things I've experienced and girls and stuff. It's just kind of like who'll stab you in the back. I'm very like. I would kind of say a little antisocial-ish a little bit when it comes to meeting like new people.
Hey, what about the locker room over there with respect to male talent and female talent that you were traveling up and down the road with, and all of a sudden you get the word you've been released, aka fired. Did you get an outpouring of text? Did your girls call you and say, "Hey, man, we heard the news. We're sorry"? Or do you keep in touch with them? Were you close with any of the talent?
You know what? And that's probably one of the reasons why I'm kind of like an outcaster a little bit because I just always used to kind of like stay to myself just because I don't like it's just so weird for me to see someone be like, that's my best friend. And it's like, oh, stupid bitch. And saying all like airing all their dirty laundry. I'm just like, wait, that. So for me, it's like to see that I'm like, ooh, like Trin and Eva are, the girls that I were like really close and still really good friends with. Right. Those are like my girls. But I did get, there's a few people who I didn't hear from, which one in particular, I actually expected they actually wanted me to get fired and stated it. So they were it was like Christmas Day for them. They're like, yes, that bitch is fired. No, I know that sounds horrible. And right. I mean, to like wish someone's job is gone. It's like, that's an evil person that says what their character is. But, there was one person in particular I was a little disappointed. Like I never heard anything from them but it is what it is.
Well, on that note, I had a ton of friends backstage when I was around, but when I had to ride off in the sunset, and this is not in the modern technology, guys, but we had cell phones, for God's sake. It wasn't like I got, a million text messages, hey, man, sorry about your neck, we'll catch you down the road, nothing like that. So it's a very competitive business.
Yeah.
It'd be like, a guy or gal in the ring, and all of a sudden, they might be ahead of you on the ladder. And maybe main event, and all of a sudden, they go down, or I would go down and, well, hey, man, that's just an opportunity for the next guy.
Yeah.
Same thing. It's just a very competitive industry. God dang, what was I going to ask you? I just had on the tip of my tongue. Oh, what would you say would be your most proudest moment of your WWE career?
That's difficult. I mean,
was it just more, rather than what you accomplished, what you did for yourself, as far as coming from being a total rookie to the business and picking up everything that you did and having the career that you did? When, you know, if you looked at it from just purely a wrestling standpoint, to be the first person eliminated from Tough Enough, but yet to be the only person to have a career, a 5-year run,
first one gone and the last one standing. Well, not anymore.
No, but nonetheless,
at the time was the last one standing.
You got to be proud of the fact that you had a run.
Yeah, of course. No, I mean, I wouldn't take that away. You know, I didn't go into, you know, WWE wanting to dance, but I mean, I was damn happy to have had an opportunity because it did open the door, you know, to get in the ring. So,
man, what's
that face?
I tell you what, man, when you and Naomi did that with Brodus Clay and the Funkadactyl song, that was the best entrance in pro wrestling. Have you always been able to dance?
I'm not gonna lie. I was shitting bricks. I literally had got a call from Kathy. I was like, and I was out partying. I was like, did I accidentally call her or butt dial her? And I was like, okay. They were first like, you're gonna do announcing. You're gonna replace Brandy. Then they were like, I was like, wait. Then like, you're gonna dance. I was like, okay. Regardless if I wrestle or if I dance or am an announcer, I'm gonna hit the bed because I don't know how to do any of those. So I literally was like, hey, you know what? Fake it till you make it. You know, like,
never let them see you sweat.
Exactly. So it's like, you know what? Just go out there. You're either going to sink or swim in it. And in WWE, it is a sink or swim type of business. It's like you just have to go out there and put your best foot forward and just do the best that you possibly can. And that's what I did.
So all of a sudden you get the call and you're going to be one of the Funkadactyl dancers. How'd you handle that? Hey, man, well, I came here to wrestle, not dance.
Well, I mean, like I said, I didn't know what I was doing. No one could tell me. At first, I'm like, there's like, oh, you're going to maybe be dancing with Brodus. But then I have someone else telling me like, oh, you're going to be announcing. So I'm just like, what, you know?
Right.
I mean, it's something that I didn't come in to do, but it was an amazing opportunity. And I felt like I was very blessed because it's like, just because you may not start doing something that you want doesn't mean you won't eventually get to your ultimate goal. And I feel like it was just a door. It was baby steps. And I'm kind of happy it did happen because if I had to go out there and wrestle, that would have been even worse. Like, I feel like that would have been like, oh my God, that would have been the struggle is real. Because the struggle was already real, and that would have just made it even more real. So
you got into the business, and your goal was to go as far as you did. You get a call from Mark Carrano, and now you've been released from WWE. My goal back in the day, you know, when I was a kid, I always wanted to be a pro wrestler because, you know, that's just, I grew up watching since I was 7 years old.
Yeah.
And then, you know, after that, I didn't know really what I was going to do, and I was sitting there thinking, man, you know, what's going to replace the adrenaline rush, the testosterone, the craziness of the crowd, hanging out with the guys on the road, you know, drinking whiskey in the lounge, and just that lifestyle. And then I ended up, and I'm having a blast now with my podcast, my reality shows, and all the stuff that I do now. So now, going on to this, turning this next page, how excited, or you know, what's your mindset? Because for a male to get let go from the business, it took a guy named Paul Orndorff to let me know that, Steve, there is life after wrestling. You obviously know that, but do you think what you're pursuing now, just guessing because you haven't realized it yet, will be as fulfilling to you, or will fill the gap or the void that the WWE can no longer fill for you? That crowd, that fun, that adrenaline, the lifestyle.
I look at it as like what am I trying to say? Like
transition or a cycle ending?
I feel like nothing will ever be able to fill that void because that's just a completely different world. I feel like it's one of those type of things that I will have to always just say those were some amazing memories, but there'll never be anything that's like the WWE, the fans, like they, you know, just the way they make you feel and how loyal they are and just the type of business it is. It's a sports entertainment. There will never be anything like that.
You're right about that. You hit it right on the head.
You know what I mean? But it doesn't mean that, you know, the next chapter that I moved to
is going to suck.
It's going to suck. You get what I'm saying? It's just, that was something that's amazing. Now it's time to do something else that's amazing and just have that as like, it was an amazing memory. Now time to make even more memories and now keep adding on to the next chapter of my book.
So with this cycle ending for now, maybe it will pick up again. But so how driven or motivated are you to find success in this next endeavor?
Oh, I am beyond driven. That's just always been me. Like, look where I got to with WWE with having no, experience and no background. Like, for me, and I like to say this too, like when I used to get so much hate, everyone's journey is different and how they get into the business. Some people, have wanted it their whole lives and never can achieve it, or how everyone's journey is different. But I feel like it's what you do with the journey once you're given it and how you take it, and just take it and just run with it and put your heart, soul, your blood, your sweat and your tears in it. You know what I mean? I got passionate about that, but then I forgot what I was going to say. Wait, what'd you?
No, it was just you trying to achieve your next goal or to, be successful in another endeavor.
I feel like I definitely will. Like, I am such a driven person, and to me, no or getting or saying I can't do something just makes me push even harder. So I definitely know that the next chapter will be successful, and I'll just, keep adding on to the, chapters in my book.
And, like you touched across a point there where, maybe you weren't like a crazy wrestling fan when you got into the business. I know there's a bunch of cats down there at the NXT or some of the guys in the locker room who are just like real hard heads about, oh, no, you got to be passionate about the business. You got to love the business to be successful. Hey, man, the fact of the matter is not everybody is. The fact of the matter is, a lot of these guys and gals that they're recruiting these days, just for these athletic backgrounds, the business is a means to an end. The business is a job. The fact that I loved it doesn't make me, it just means that it was a passion of mine. But if you're in it just to make a living, hey, study your ass off, learn the history of the business. It's not a strike against you.
Yeah.
Just because you come from a different background and all of a sudden you get an opportunity doesn't mean that you're a bad person. Oh, they don't love the business like I do. Piss on that. It's all about what you make of the opportunity, not whether you grew up being a lifelong fan of the damn business.
Yeah, I just feel like it's what you. Yeah, if it's like if you just are there for the wrong reasons, then I can feel like you. Wait.
Well, but what is the wrong reasons? If you're there just to get paid, I mean, and you put your heart and soul into it, you're still good because you got bills to pay.
I mean, I guess that's true, but then it's like, why do something that you don't love doing?
Yeah, just because people want a shot at the being on TV and the glory and.
I would have never been able to do it if I didn't become to love it because it's so much that goes into it. I just feel like if you don't love this, it's like it will be a miserable job for you.
But you didn't love it when you started.
Not when I started, no, right. But I grew to love it.
Hey, speaking of, we got real philosophical there for a second. So tell me about this acting class. You fix to go over there, and are you going to do your scene study in your car before you go in there and do your homework?
Yes, because this week has been so crazy. I haven't even had time to look over my script, so I'm going to have to you got to hammer that because here's the thing. You know how competitive this town is. You live here and you come from the entertainment business from WWE, but when you go into a restaurant, damn near everybody waiting tables is trying to get a crack at the acting gig. And I feel like you could potentially have an advantage because of your vast television exposure over the last 5 years to give you maybe, a little bit of a boost. But as you know, man, if you don't put the work in, you're going to come upon hard times or get a lot of doors. Oh, wait, don't take it the wrong way. I do what I bust my ass and I bust my butt. With
went to the dark side. We're good.
With studying, but this week has just been so crazy with meetings and stuff that it's literally I haven't even had a time to pick up. And to me, coming here today was very important. I wanted to talk to you. I've been wanting to be on your podcast for 3 years now.
We finally did it.
I know we finally did it.
Hey, is there anything that we didn't cover that you want to cover or address?
I would actually. Are you going to ask me what my favorite match is now?
Yeah. All right. What's your favorite match of all time?
So I don't have just one.
Okay, that's cool.
I have a few. And it's so funny when you actually spoke about it earlier. With Ricky the Dragon Steamboat against Randy Savage, Macho Man, WrestleMania 3. That was a pretty damn good defining moment. I really like that match. That's one of my favorites. I also have, I would definitely say, well, I guess if it takes me this long to think about it, right? Well, because there's a few that I like. I definitely think it was a pretty kick-ass moment when you guys had with you and Bret Hart. where the submission match, that was a good match. Was that WrestleMania 13?
WrestleMania 13 in Chicago, my favorite town to wrestle in.
Yeah, where you passed out all that blood.
You see the acting chops here, Ari? Why I'm not in a damn Oscar-nominated movie right now? Well, I'll tell you why I don't want to act. What else?
Let me think, because I have a few. But I would definitely say, I want to say Ricky the Dragon Steamboat first. That's like I would say that's like the number one.
And that's an outstanding selection. I can say that, and I'd have to hold my hands up and like.
Wait.
Who?
Melina versus Alicia Fox?
Hey, do you miss being on the road yet?
No, not yet.
You're gonna have a little bit of withdrawals, I think. Well, I don't know if you're a pretty strong-minded and strong-willed person, so maybe you're so busy and you keep yourself occupied, you might have missed a thing.
Well, for me, it's like I've been enjoying the time home because it's like now I'm able to go to like a friend's wedding and catch up with friends and spend time with family. Like I feel like, especially like right now with my brother, he's going through so much. I'm able to be here and kind of like be like a mentor towards him, to kind of get him back on the right track. So I'm actually happy to be home, but I feel like at some point I'll probably be like, but things have been so crazy lately, I haven't had time really to like think about it.
That's cool, because I always consider like my time, like when I was on the road, man, I call it zombie mode, because like you realize everything that's going on in life, but I mean your number one mission is just to get out on the road, go to the towns, make the towns, come back home for a day and a half, and then you miss the road, so you get back on it, and all of a sudden 15 years flies by, like we talked in the beginning before we start rolling sound. 5 years flies by, and it's like, man, what happened? What just happened?
Yeah.
So it took me a while to turn back into a civilian, but then again, I didn't have that next thing to go ahead and jump into, which you already had first into the acting thing and everything else that you're doing. On Twitter, you are at WWE Cameron.
Yes, which I know.
Will that stay that way?
I will definitely have to change that. I haven't yet, but I know.
Well, I was talking to Hornswoggle. He said there's been no pressure to change it. Didn't Mark Carano say, hey, you got to change your Twitter handle?
No, not at all.
And you do have your real name up there to begin with.
Exactly,
well.
Yeah.
And then your website is?
www.arianeandrewnow.com.
And Instagram?
It is Ariane Andrew. Yes.
Okay.
And Periscope. And I'm just kidding.
Okay, we talked about your favorite match. You had a good one.
Wait, and I didn't elaborate on that. The reason why I really enjoyed that, because even though Andre the Giant and Hulk Hogan had that
championship match.
I can't even talk. And they were the main event. Those two were able to steal the show, and it was like, and they were mid-carders. You know what I mean? So it was like a mid-carder was able to be like, you know what? We're just as good as the main event.
Well, here's the thing. I got an email from someone. It was a hateful email, as we were talking about earlier on Twitter, with all the people hiding behind eggshells and saying bad things. I got this one dude send an email, and how I always talk about that being one of my favorite matches. And they said, oh, Steve, Hogan and Andre were the main event there at WrestleMania 3, but you never, ever give Hogan credit enough because you think you're a bigger star than him, and he was a bigger star than you. And he goes into all this rhetoric. Like, no, you stupid idiot. The best friggin' match on the show was Savage Steamboat. Hogan and Andre probably drew the house. Savage and Steamboat certainly had something to do with it too, but yeah, they were the main event. But to your point, yeah, Savage and Steamboat stole the show. It's never me trying to take any credit from Hogan. He had a wonderful run, and I've always given him his due props and respect. And him and Andre, yeah, that's money. So F you piece of trash. I had a lot of respect for damn Hogan, but it was Savage and Steamboat's night.
Yeah, no, I could see you definitely got very passionate about that.
Yeah, I'm glad because I want to answer that idiot's email. He sent it in a couple of weeks ago. Yeah, I got all respect in the world for Hogan's run. End of story. Next. What do you want to talk about before we shut this thing down?
I feel like I've talked your ear off today.
You have, and I've enjoyed it.
Yes.
And I'm glad we finally got to hook up and talk.
I know. And I was actually really excited because I haven't talked to anybody. I haven't done any interviews or anything. And I was like, you know what? Let me reach out to Steve and see, like, if, just maybe he'll let me do his podcast. I feel like it would be just so iconic because I started my career with you. And I'm ending my, I don't want to say ending my career, but
we're pausing it.
Exactly. Yeah. And I get to discuss it with you. It's kind of like the what's the word I'm looking for? The irony of it all.
And also is like people always say to me, yeah, Steve, she was the first one eliminated, but she's the only one that had a career. And I'm like, dude, I always said she'd have a career. And what also people never knew is every time we saw each other at the show, we'd sit there for 15, 20, 30 minutes, whatever, relive the old times or talk about current times. And we actually had a relationship as friends. So, yeah, so all this time later, there was never any animosity. We laugh and joke about all the things in the past and always talk about everything in the present day. So for the people that didn't know that, that's how it went down between us.
Exactly.
Wasn't like there was any animosity or hard feelings. People are so damn presumptuous sometimes. It really chaps my ass.
I know.
So you're going to jump out in L.A. traffic. I hate L.A. traffic. Do you just chill in your car? Hey, now, you got to answer me this. I hate, the other day we was coming back from somewhere, and everyone on the road was texting in their car. You're not one of them texting drivers, are you?
Okay, I'm a person that's very honest, and I don't like to lie. So
Except that one time.
I like to keep it 100. I do sometimes. I know it's against the law, and I know it's bad. I know it's very dangerous because someone actually just a few months ago rear-ended me saying, "Oh, I was trying to pick my phone off the floor." I'm like, you couldn't wait to pull over or stop. That's why you just rear-ended the back of my car.
Yeah, well, see, the thing about it is, if you pull up at a stoplight and it's red, then I think it's okay to text. But when the light turns green, then you got to go back driving.
Yeah.
That's just my thought. So as you go out there, I'm concerned for your safety. Don't text, and watch out for the other idiots out there that are texting.
I am not going to text. I'm actually going to, relax and listen to music. That's how I like my way of kind of like my zen. I actually don't enjoy traffic, but I like driving because it just kind of clears my mind. And
I love driving too. You listen to music while you drive? Mm-hmm. What are you listening to right now?
I like Pandora because it has like a mixture. All I
do is Pandora.
Yeah, because I
paid for it, so I don't get the commercials.
I had paid for it, then the commercials started coming back. I don't know what happened.
Oh, it's just because your thing, you didn't renew it.
Ooh.
I got that little thing in the mail. I'll pay $2.99 or whatever it costs just so I can listen to commercials.
Yeah.
So what's your favorite Pandora? What's your presets?
I have trap music radio. I have Tiesto. I have I like to go between those two. Tiesto, because then I get my like house music that I like and like different genres of music that come through that. Right. Then I have like my little more of the crump music, and then I get different. But sometimes like music that doesn't fall under that genre will come through. So like that's why I like those two stations.
I'm still trapped in the 80s and 90s. I'm old school.
Yeah.
All right, we're going to get you to acting class. It was wonderful seeing you and wonderful talking to you.
Yes, it's been amazing. I'm so happy we finally got to like do a full sit-down catch-up.
All right, this is Steve Austin. I'm hanging up. Ariane Andrew has to ride off into the sunset in her red Mercedes. Good talking to you.
Good talking to you.
All right, everybody, give me the go-home cue. It's time to wrap up his podcast and ride off into the sunset. But before I do that, I want to thank my guest, Ariane Andrew, for coming by the house and sitting down and shooting the breeze with me and talking about her release, her past, her present, and her future. It was great seeing you. She looks like $1 million. She's working her tail off right now, taking her acting classes, pursuing many other things. It will be interesting to see what the future holds for this young lady. Will she make a return to the pro wrestling scene, or will she remain independent, or will the acting thing take off for her? Nonetheless, she's really focused, and she's working really hard. Ariane, I wish you all the best. Hey, folks, I got to give you guys something to watch, since her new favorite match is Randy Macho Man Savage versus Ricky the Dragon Steamboat from WrestleMania 3. Then I suggest you watch that match. And if you've already seen that match, then go back and watch Hulk Hogan versus Andre the Giant in the main event. There, how's that? And if you've seen both those matches, tune in to Total Divas on YouTube and watch Cameron of WWE, a.k.a. Ariane, in action. All right, folks, on a closing note, I got all the shirts that I used to wear on Broken Skull Challenge over at my website, BrokenSkullRanch.com. And if you want some Broken Skull IPA, there's a link for it on my website, BrokenSkullRanch.com. And if you're in Cali, you can find it at Whole Foods Total Wine. If you want to order it, there's a link on my website, BrokenSkullRanch.com. Folks, I got a badass pocket knife called a Broken Skull. It's from Cold Steel Knives. They make the strongest, sharpest knives in the world, and this knife has been receiving great reviews. A dude recently reviewed the knife and wondered why this knife would be offered in pink. because we wanted to have a knife that if women wanted a knife and they love pink, then they could get that color. There's also guys that would like a pink knife. Look at Bret the Hitman Hart. That dude made a living wearing pink and black, and he kicked a lot of asses, including mine. Anyway, we marketed that knife for anyone and everyone, and I've got a great Broken Skull knife story coming up for you on Thursday's podcast. I got to put some salt and pepper on it. That's why I'm saving it for Thursday. Hey, man, they come in all different colors. Pink is a badass color. Pink is a badass color for a knife, and I got one. Hey, I also appreciate all the word-of-mouth advertising y'all are doing on behalf of this podcast. I ain't got no advertising budget up in this mug. I appreciate you guys supporting the sponsors of the Steve Austin podcast, because if it wasn't for them, I wouldn't be able to do this for you for free twice a week. So big ups to DDP Yoga and the DDP Yoga Now app. To Onnit, go to onnit.com/Steve and get 10% off your order. To Scott's Roundup. And, of course, a big thank you to Amazon, who have been supporting this podcast since day one. Just use my Amazon links whenever you're doing any online shopping, and Amazon will kick back a couple of bucks to the podcast. It won't cost you nothing extra. There ain't no hidden fees or charges. You can buy whatever you're planning on buying and help out the podcast in the process. And you can find my Amazon links by going to PodcastOne.com, clicking on the Killer Deals button on the top right corner of the page, and then hitting the Steve Austin Show button. I got Amazon links for Amazon USA, Amazon UK, and Amazon Canada. Go to PodcastOne.com, click the Killer Deals button in the top right corner, click on the Steve Austin Show. You'll find all my great sponsors. Hey, if you bookmark that link, you can get to it in one click and save yourself a lot of headaches, hassles, and everything else. Help support the podcast, keep us on the air for free, ain't asking for no handouts. And hey, folks, keep listening. The 60-second AP News headlines are coming up next. Until then, my name is Steve Austin, and I will catch your ass down the road.
Download new episodes of The Steve Austin Show every Tuesday at PodcastOne.com. That's PodcastOne.com.